Realism isn't much of a problem for AI anymore, but control is still a challenge. So how I deal with that? I take the product image and turn it into garbage 3D version. Looks terrible, I know, but that's fine. I am not using it for realism. I am using it as a product mannequin. I can rotate the product, orbit the camera, all that until the precise part of label is showing. And if I have two products, I will place them together and control the relationship, where they touch, how close they sit, and which one overlaps. The best part, this workflow is free, it's easy to use, and I will show it to you step by step. Now, let's get to the screen. So this is the workflow, and I will show you a couple of examples of how does it work, and then we will basically rebuild one from scratch so you better understand how it works and how to tweak it to your needs. So in here you can see that you basically need only one image of your product, which in this case is the can, and some description of where it should be placed or how it should look. Something like that. I kept it quite simple in here. And what you need to do first is to create a 3D node from this image. And this 3D node gives you an option to rotate it in 3D and also position it within 3 dimensions, which will be then applied to your final image. So this is one input we need. And then it's not like necessary. However, if you only have one image, it's quite fine to give it more context about how the product looks like from different angles, close-ups, and stuff like that. I did not specify what should be in each of these 9 panels. I just gave it a task to create at least 3 close-ups and then different rotations, because the more context you will give the model, the better result there will be, probably. And now these 2 images are every generation you need, because this part here is only annotating images, where I combine this image, and also our main image. And I will place text annotations in the corner in here, because these compositor nodes are like simple Photoshop layers. If you click edit, you can see that there is a background image which is like export from 3D node, and there is text layer that you can like position anywhere you want, and it is the case for every single one here. And why is it important? Because this master prompt, this really crazy looking part, is not so scary, it's just long. Because it helps the model to follow instructions, where you will specify what it should do and also what inputs it will work with. And in here you can see it's reference image A, what is it? Then reference image B, what is it? And what to do with it. Here it's product position in space, rotation, tilt, like the image controls pose and camera exclusively, ignore materials, lighting, stuff like that, textures, you get the point. And then like inverted version is image B, which is this one, and this will act as a detail reference and textures, everything that makes the product the product. However, hopefully it will be combined with this exact rotation. And image C is supporting material. Most of the time it won't even use it, but once it is there, like better feed it into the model. You never know which part will it actually use. And you basically don't touch this part, you don't touch this part, and you also do not touch this part. It only lives here. Only thing you do is you will give your product here and you will either rewrite here what you want, or you will prepare a couple of nodes there and you will just use the one that you want. And this prompt in the middle will be updated on its own. So with it, I had one where it's positioned in the shelf, and I had one that's placed in the shopping bag. If I drag this 3D node in here, you can see that the view angle is quite close to what our 3D reference is. So if you would maybe, let's say, zoom it in or rotate it a little bit, maybe something like that, you can see that even image A as layout reference was updated. For example, something like that. And with it, once you hit run model, it should update the view angle of the product there. Then let's go below. I again created my 3D version. Then in the compositor, I rotated it a little bit to the side and I tasked it to create an image where a product is leaning on a tree, and it basically did it. In here, since I used 9:16 aspect ratio and all those reference images are 1:1, actually not all, but this one in here, which should provide layout information, then yes, there is some difference in how big it is, because it needs to like guesstimate it and fill pixels above and below that aspect ratio. But still, you can see that rotation is quite in line. And there is one more interesting use of this approach, where you have your product. In this case, it's a toothpaste, I guess. And I copied my 3D node twice, so I can create composition as I want. So I don't want just one toothpaste, I want 3. And I want them to be positioned in a certain way. And you can see that the layout is basically simple. I just did it before I polished it a little bit. However, it works the same. I only used 3D version 3 times and created my image A with these. Works the same because it's only one image. If you would want to reposition it, there is one more compositor here, because one adds annotation and one basically creates the combination of those 3. If I hit edit here, you can see that all those are separate layers, but I will not be changing that right now. And from this stage to the right, it works basically the same. I just did not feed it with the specifics of where I want it to be. I only added that feature later, but you will excuse me. However, rest is same. It's layout reference, then the product reference, and some other angles, close-ups, whatever might be necessary for the model. You can see that there are 3 tubes here, and it's quite similar to what I wanted. Yes, those on the side are rotated a little bit different, but if you would just hit rerun, then it would probably get there. Or what I like to do is simply add 4 runs and hit run selected, then you will just pick the best version you will get. And this way you can create even more maybe difficult composition that you would otherwise need to explicitly describe in here with the text font. And since you can see it's quite long, then you need to be really knowledgeable enough so you know where to put it in that prompt. If you would want to use this workflow, I will clean it up for you and you will find the link in the description. It's not polished one, but it works quite well on my end at least. And now let's see it in action. I have used quite a famous bottle. I wrote a simple description and here I used 2 3D nodes just to show you that you can pick whichever you want. However, it needs to be the one that can give you also a texture. It really doesn't matter that it's a garbage texture, but it needs to be there. Otherwise, the model won't do a great job in estimating where in the space the product actually is. So I used Rodin version 2 or new Meshi, really doesn't matter. And then I only added that it's on the ice cube in Antarctica, covered with frost. Now I will join my image into pre-made template for other angles and close-ups. So I will hit run and hopefully it will give us a 9-panel view of this product. Now it is done. You can see it did quite a great job here. Not every single one is correct, I guess, but I will keep it as it is. This is only just a showcase. And now we need to create our annotations. So in here with the first node, I will use image, not 3D output. I will use it as a background. Then I will use our main product image here as a background just as well, and more context here. Then I will plug text node in here, edit, and just reposition it somewhere. We can keep it as image A. That's quite fine. Then in here we can plug it in. Let's hit edit. This one is image B and I will probably make it smaller. It can read it quite fine even with this small size. And the image C would be plugged in here. Let's use again 100 and let's use it somewhere here. And now we need to take our scene description and only plug in here. Then this full prompt became updated and now we will feed it into Nano banana node. First reference image will be 3D node. Second will be product detail. And third one will be additional details. Now let's keep it 1:1. Aspect ratio 2K is just fine. And in here we can maybe scale it a little bit, rotate it. And I can maybe do it something like this. Let's add a more dominant rotation here. And now we just need to hit run and wait. And now you can see it is the case. It's in Antarctica, it's on the ice cube, and also it's covered in frost. But the logic of what I was trying to show you is there. just maybe the resulting image isn't the best for the job, but I would probably need to fix it in here to give it like a bit more detailed description. So it won't be like ice cube, but it would be a piece of ice, which would be probably a bit more logical. Then I could maybe specify what depth of field I would want. Maybe a polar bear somewhere in the background. The more effort you will give to this description, the better result there will be. However, you can see that it gets the logic, so it actually can mimic this exact angle to this resulting image for a certain, I don't know, banner, or to be animated as a simple reel or whatever you want. Or if you would want there to be, I don't know, 3 of those bottles, you would probably need to do it again, and we can actually try it. So we can feed it one more image here. I will use another 3D model, and I will scale this one just as well. Maybe rotate it in different directions, so hopefully those 2 bottles would be touching. Let's keep it this way. And in here, maybe we could try on the snow ground in Antarctica, covered with frost, polar bear in the background, bottles are leaning onto each other. I'm not even sure if this is the correct phrasing, but let's give it a try and let's hit run. Cool. So you can see it actually works. I did not lie to you. There is a polar bear in the background, and have fun playing with it.